Okay, how you going there, guys? Sorry, a bit slow off the mark today. Just had to get myself a coffee. It's very important. How we going there, Bobby? Hope you're enjoying yourself in the stream, mate. Who else we got? I know we got a few others. And people slowly coming in. Now, again, guys, I've got minimum things on my actual platform, so I don't want to slow things down. Too many things working could hurt the upload and everything, but we'll see. Lauren, Paul, how are you? Bonjour. It's probably the one and only French word I know. All right, let's get stuck into it there, guys. Welcome. Welcome to Trade Setup and another live stream for the 26th of March. So we're getting on there. Towards the end of the month, and getting on to Easter. I think it's Friday off, isn't it? It's Friday's public holiday and Monday. I'll check on that for sure, but I'm pretty sure it is. Anyway, so I hope you'll we'll be doing the stream again on Thursday, but I wouldn't expect it to be that busy. We're probably heading off on holiday, getting ready for the big Easter egg hunts. So I hope you all have a good time. If I forget to say on Thursday, I hope you had a good weekend too. Anyone that's new, welcome. Just on the top left-hand corner, you'll see us on Twitter. Join us on Twitter. Facebook's the top right, and the bottom right is on subscribe to us on YouTube. So you'll get anytime we go new. Anytime we go live. I'm just reading Ryan's holla. Don't even know what that means. But anyway, I'm guessing it says welcome in Spanish, is it? Or something else? Yeah, so subscribe to us at YouTube, and anytime we go live, whether we do anything at all, you'll get a bit of a heads up. Just when we go live, there's no prior email or anything like that going out. If we do something, through our YouTube channel anyway, it's worth taking a look at. Anything we actually upload there too. We just uploaded the video. It was a video we put together on Trade Setup, and pretty much a basic marketing thing or what it's about. So you would have got that an alert there. But anyway. What have we got? General advice. Just remember, we don't give personal advice. It's just general advice. What we're looking at. It's our own opinions. Everyone's got to do their own. Sorry, Zeke. There I saw you. I can't read that, mate. No hope. No hope at all. That was funny. All right, let's get into it, guys. I'll get the charts up. Helen. Yeah. So how's everyone sort of steering through these markets at the moment? I know. Look, there's always going to be some stocks coming under pressure. You just got to remember what your time frame is. And I did just get an article, an email through. Is this a trade war or a trade opportunity? A trade war sell-off or a trade war opportunity? So, look, it could be. We've got something. I was thinking about that previously. So we've got RSG, which is just backed off a bit now. We were looking around at 130. It spiked through that today, which is great. Looking to take a partial. I mean, if you go to the weekly charts, it looks great. This thing could kick up. But the same token, it's going up obviously with gold. Gold had a $20 night on Friday, $20 rally, so that's good. It's kicking higher, but the same. I don't want to sit around waiting just to sit and watch these. I think it's the kind of market you've got to be a bit more on your toes. Yeah, okay, there could be a trade war, but you never know. Overnight, they could turn around and have a bit of a chat. Everything's hunky dory, and then boom, you get gold will drop like a stone. You'd expect markets will start going up again. Everything's good. So it's the triggers. Something it's hard to see coming, and it's really just guessing. So that the amount of volatility that's around in the market, when you're sitting on a profit, sometimes it's handy to take a partial, and it's always good to let some run. I'm always a big believer in that because you just never know what's going to play out, especially if the charts look great. But it's also, like we said before, it's not the market to be diving in left, right, and centre. So there's going to be some that are going to cop it a bit. I mean, there's probably, say, RSG is another example. Could have gone a lot harder, for example, in a different kind of market if it was set up like this. But the fact is the market could be pushing higher and have a bit of a pullback quickly. You get chopping, a bit more choppy action, which is, it could be good, but at the same token, it just means that things don't trend quite as well. There are some that are, but they're harder to pick, harder to come by. Where was I? So yeah, just remember your time frames. Stacks of cash on the sideline. No, you've been waiting for a while, haven't you, Paul? So Paul's ready and raring. He's actually enjoying this too. Let's just looking at our positions. What we got at the moment. We got RSG going okay. PPH still hanging in there. It was a partial around 404, 402, 404, somewhere around there. It does look like it's due for a bit of a pullback. You can look, it's a bit stretched. SM1, of course, that was gapped up on some news. We took a partial there. Let's pull back, still up on the rest, and we're going to lock in again. I think it's 740. So either way, we're sitting on the winner of that. If it does pull back that sort of minor high low, then so be it. But what we'd like to see is if you can push back up towards 9 to retest up towards those highs and just see what happens. If it does start to run out of steam and look like there could be a major lower high, then okay, we'll probably bail, lock it all in. And Hub's the other one. It's a short, which is actually kicked up today, which is a bit surprising. So a bit of strength in there. It's defending. The buyers are defending around that $10 mark, but I guess the longer term structure is still looking quite weak. You've got a double top up here, the lower high, all but confirmed at the moment. It looks like it's starting to roll over nice and early. Nothing wrong with jumping in nice and early if you got the setup and the price action on your side, especially on the short side anyway. But I still think this one could bust through that the lows around, we've got 959. If it gets through there, then it's on. But I think the overall trend, it's probably just bouncing off support line too. I haven't checked it yet, but don't be surprised if it's just bouncing off that rising support. We'll see how that one plays out. Let's get over the markets as usual. Just tick over them. S&P. Look, that's been poleaxed the last couple of days. No way around that. And you've got what I like. I mean, it's always good to take notice. Just look at. I'll get a. Oh, I've done it again, haven't I? Sorry, no one reminded me today. Chart there. Transition. No, was it not working? That one. All right, so the charts should be coming a bit on the right-hand side. All right, let's get into it. Let's get into it. There you go. There you go. Done. All right. So what? I'll make that thicker too. But I don't mind. See how it's had a big push up here. Good pullback. So at the moment, you don't know. There's that second wave of buying that potentially didn't want to buy it up here after that big sell-off, whether nerves, whether setups, or whatever their reason was. Had a good pullback, pushed up into the previous high, washed it out. But the thing is, it was getting stretched up there, so it was a good little hint that it's going to wash out the high. It's probably going to drag in some buyers that buy on the breakout there, and then they've turned around and squeezed them back out, and the market's just capitulated since there. Mainly, sold off because of the trade war concern. I think there was a few people, and then again on the flip side of that, you've got that eases off on rate rises, so it's not too bad. I think there's no need for a fourth rate rise, which was a bit of a concern that people are constrained the market, but instead they weren't looking at that. Everything's in check. Plus you've got a bit of a sell-off, taking a bit of heat out of the market, so not too bad. But now we're on the flip side of this. We're getting down to the extended down towards these support zones. Well, potential support. It's not going to. We have to see it react off that zone first before it becomes support. Otherwise, it's just going to blow through it, and we're going to get, like we've spoken about before, from high to low. Extend that from that high around 28. Take it to the low. You're sitting somewhere around, say, 24.50. So it has got the potential to go another 100, 125, 130 points. So on the S&P, which is, it's taken out a lot of heat out of that market, especially if you go back to the weekly, that would take us somewhere around here. It's on the other side, the MAs, on those MAs. So it has squeezed out a lot of buyers. It's taken a lot of heat out of that market, and then we'll have to see how it goes. Even if it does hold up around that 25.50, it has still cleaned out the market quite a bit anyway. So it'd be good to see if it can hold up, if it get some sort of reaction around here, 25.50, 25.75, even where we are. Start the week on a positive note, a bit of reaction up, but it is getting stretched. That's all we're really looking at. The selling pressure's been quite high. The problem is sometimes it's harder to use stochastics in this way on the downside because it goes away from a controlled market to just a free falling market or a rational market, which sometimes there's no real indicator that can help you out. It's just watching the price action and watching for your higher lows, your lower highs, never sitting, trying to grab a falling knife, a falling dagger. It's a sure way to get in trouble. Um, that's the S&P. We've got the Dow, same sort of scenario, getting to the overextended on the downside, coming into a lows that was the original sell-off. So really now, if you're just going to mark that up in the charts to see what happens from here, is it going to be extended and we're going to get a reaction up, or are we just going to slice straight through it and do this secondary leg lower? There's enough, there's enough selling pressure up here. It's heavy onto the market. It's enough selling pressure up there to think that it could easily slice through and you can extend from, what was it, high to low. Again, somewhere around 27.50, 22.750, 22.5, that sort of zone, if it can get down there. And then you probably see it start the base, because that makes one. That's your second move down. So anyone that's potentially buying cheap stocks there, the aggressive traders, if they're still holding, they're going to feel the heat now. If they didn't get out on this run up, or they didn't get out on this lower high, potentially they are getting squeezed out now. And that's happens a lot. The market does those secondary moves down because you always know there's bargain hunters around. You're just going to dive in on nothing more than the market's getting stretched on the downside. Buy it up, and if they do hold on to it, they're going to get squeezed out. Otherwise, we just want to see it run out of steam. We just want to see where that's going to be, really. What else we got? FTSE. FTSE's probably not going to look good. Yep, that looks all rubbish at the moment. And you can see that's what we've spoken about. Chopping around here, then boom, extended that. So we just have to see if there's any, if you're trading the FTSE, to see if there's any sort of support zone it can come into. Probably you would expect it's down here somewhere around the 67, which means it's another couple hundred points away. If it's going to extend down there, or if it's just going to find that it's stretched on the downside. This is a weekly too, the daily and the weekly. So is anyone willing to start supporting this on the FTSE? We'll have to wait and see. Again, don't jump in until you start seeing your higher lows build, or your retest, your double bottoms, all that sort of stuff. It's especially on the FTSE, if you want to jump in. I know that there's always something to be said about buying quality stocks, but when the market goes from rational to irrational, even quality stocks can get belted. I mean, fundamentals, everything goes out the window, and it's pure fear, and that's can really drive the market down quickly. So just keep that in mind if you are looking at something thinking it's the market's headed south, it's looking good, the setup's good. Just bear that in mind. So I wouldn't be going too heavy on anything. All right, what else we got? XJO, FTSE, that was the FTSE. DAX, same sort of line, precariously close to breaking that low. I'm surprised I managed to say that. What's that low there? 11.9, give or take. 11.860. 868, 11. That's just broken through. It's about to extend that potentially off a lower high. MAs are still up on the weekly, but look at this. It could just do this, roll over. Looks minor lower high, so it's taken out this low, only a small bit. Good reaction back up. Could do the same thing, take out that, and what's that's doing is just squeezing people out with that continual lower high, taking out the lows, and then it can turn around and something like this. You can see the lower high, and then boom, straight up, and just catching everyone off guard. So the DAX could do that, but if the overall market's not looking great, then you just have to, again, just wait and see. I'd rather buy if you get something like this, the market's rolling over and you build a higher low, even off this high low, it's confirmed when it breaks through this high, confirmation there. And if you're buying in here with, the premise that this market's going to push up and having a good leg up, then you're on the safer side, you're on the right side of the market, you're not in a falling market, you're in more of a rising market and earlier on in that trend, so you can really start, your setups are probably going to have a lot better legs on the upside than something if the market's rolling over and you've got a good setup on an individual stock, for instance, or anything. They may not have much legs to it, and that's where you have to be a bit, tighten the belt a bit and tighten your risk a bit, not letting things run too much. But when it's a rising market, different story. You can afford to let it run because overall market's going to support it too. And rather than getting the market, it dives all the way back down and test support, it just has a minor pullback and off we go. So we'll see how that goes in the DAX. XJO, not looking the best. Let's just have a look at that weekly. It's a bugger. XJO. Daily, weekly. Just want to draw it up to see what that support's looking like. Screen snap. Yeah, so we're getting, again, precariously close. So we spoke about this last. It could easily extend this low. Like, we're pretty much doing now. I mean, this could just wash it out today, and then you find that it bounces. Just depending how we finish up today. What are we down? Down at the moment, 35. What? So it's still, I mean, again, that weekly trend's still up. You've got your key support zone here. It is a deep correction. That's given what's happening in the US and all the, the US being overbought. But we're in that clean out process, I think, in the US at the moment. Really just clearing out those long, clearing out a few positions. And you've always got to do that. The market can't just keep heading higher, rallying without some sort of pullback to clean people out, put them back on the sidelines for the fuel to come back into the market to extend that rally. Otherwise, it's not an infinite number of people willing to buy into the market. Everyone's got limited pockets. Everyone likes to think there's people out there with infinite amount of cash to throw at it, but it just doesn't happen. So if everyone's loading into the market, it's just heading up, 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 up. Sooner or later, it's going to get extended. Has to clear out some of those late buyers, clear out the market a bit, reset itself, ready to go again. I think we're in that resetting phase. So again, we could, anything could happen, but if the weekly time frame, we pull back a bit more, even 57.50, where are we at the moment? 57.85, is that 57.50? Yep. So it hasn't got far to go, another 30 points or so. Could you spike down to 57, pop back up? You're still holding that weekly trend up, and then have to start to build that base on the daily just to see if we can. It's going to take some time, obviously, so there's no rush. But that's my view on that, on the overall market. What's happened in the daily? There's nothing to look at in the daily. It's boom straight down. So just be interesting to see how it finishes up today. Let me just get rid of something. Done. Close. Small. Done. All right. So what's that? That's the XJO. Let's have a quick look at Asia. Nikkei, same. Longer term's looking okay. It is correcting on the longer term. It's a good size correction too, but it's really just reversion to the mean type of trading. If you take again, like the XJO, along the lows, support's probably coming right into that zone now, and Hang Seng essentially on the same lines as well. So longer term, not too bad. It's just that daily choppiness that we've got to deal with at the moment. Now we'll see how we go, Ryan. It's on. By the way, you're not allowed to disagree with me on this stream. It's a rule. I just implemented it then. Where are we? So let's get into a couple of stocks, just a couple of things I want to look at. And then feel free to put up some charts, put up anything you want to look at, whether it's currencies. We've got oil kicking up, which is nice. So we've got a few plays, things we're looking at with oil. Playing out nicely as expected. We were STO, we just put out STO. Let's get off that. STO, which is, look, it's hasn't corrected much. That's a good healthy leg up. Yep, look at that, a good healthy leg up. So it's really unabated, that leg, just before it got through that high is around 5, but it is holding up around 5. And look at where the stochastics are. That from oversold to overbought, which is that low around 3, pushed up through 5, and it's gone from overbought to oversold, and it really hasn't gone anywhere. So good selling pressure, but it's getting soaked up. So the buyers are really happy to step in around that 5, just up, chopping up and through, up above and below 5, but holding up nicely. So I'd ideally like to see it get through this high, because on the daily it is getting extended to the upside. Doesn't mean they can't just turn and go up and go straight through it, straight through 570 onto new highs. But like my trading plan, anything I like to look at, I'd like to see that push through, squeeze in a few longs, squeeze them back out. The shorter term traders build it high low, potentially back towards 5 or so, and then take it when it's heading high. I think that's a lot stronger entry setup off essentially a double bottom, off a higher low. You've got your shoulder, we'd like to say, and then up she goes. I think it's going to be a nice little rally off that, especially if stochastics come back to that 50 mark or whatever. But that's looking good either way. No, again, sorry, mate, I can't answer. Just 1 second here, guys. All right. So what's that, Santos? There's others just want to quickly look at and go through. I think it's worthwhile. Love going short. All right. Let's get into it then. So this is one I wanted to point out, only probably because there's two things. I really like that structure. I really like see this price action, but I'm hesitant purely because of it's taken a bit of effort just to get it up, and that when this sort of well, let me just draw it. Oh, let me just try here. Let me just get to draw that up now. Not that. That's what I want. All right, let's play ball now. Come here. There we go. So the market's heading up. That's not bad. Well, just take that a bit better. Probably straight along the lows there. So you've got the market that's essentially had a base support through 37, 37 and a half, washed it out. And I think we might have spoken about this before. The market's had a good move up, come straight down, took out the last high low, and then popped up, lower high, pushed down, but it's really holding that longer term trend up. And probably it's the market can do that a lot. Shares can do that a lot. Anything can do it a lot. If you come into a level, this is not a major level at that stage. This was your key level around, say, 42. It washed that out prior, and then it's headed south again just to clean out the last few buys, potentially people that were looking to buy it off around 37, cleaned them out, but didn't get too far because it's really come down to that support zone, that rising support level. Touched in there, headed up, consolidated. You can see it chopping around here and then straight up again. So that for me is not a bad, and it's just taking out that previous lower high. So it's about 47, 48, 49. Just took out that previous lower high, but it consolidated below that zone. So if we get into the daily, I mean, this weekly chart, I do like it. I really like it. This is what's got me, I thought I'd point it out because the market's looking a bit stretched. So even if you go down to a daily and you're looking for a buy, the daily stretch at the moment too. So I would ideally need it to come right back. And I wouldn't want to see a market that spikes up and comes straight back down again to set up in my zone. So even though it's probably a missed opportunity, maybe it looks good. On the weekly, you could potentially buy it and do okay. I think you're going to take a bit of heat to start off with. So that's why I would be happy to sit on the sidelines, but just keep an eye on that overall longer term structure because it's starting to come on the right side for me. It's got through this high at 49 and it pushed after it, just pushing up towards it, consolidate, and then it's just broken up through it, but it's taken a bit of energy. You can see the market's taken a bit of strength, cleaned up a bit of buys or using up a bit of that buying fuel to get through there. So I think it, for me, this could just head straight up, don't get me wrong, but I'd like to see it come back, get back to sort of that oversold zone, hold a higher low, and then go. Does that make sense? Because I think both those weekly and the weekly charts and the daily charts are running out of buyers to continue this move up. So I thought I'd point that out. Even though it looks good, even though this looks great, you can probably buy it here. Um, hold your risk just below around that 44, 43, 42 mark, even just below this high low. Not so bad. You're probably getting a bit late, but I think you probably get stopped out on that purely because the weekly needs to clean out some buys before it resets itself and go again. Whether you can hang in there below around 42 or whether it takes out 42, a deeper correction, gets somewhere down to that 40 mark and start building again, who knows? I think it's always worth just keeping an eye on what the stochastics are doing, how much energy or pressure it's taken to buy the market up there, and what's happening with key levels. The other one I'll quickly go on, OML, ML. Weekly looks it looks choppy. Nowhere around out. If you just go from left to right, what you're seeing on the screen, big sell off here, push up, pull back, high, low. You see in here, push up, retest the highs, clean out that low, and then bang straight up through the highs. So that's, it's signs of a good player or somebody, a lot of buyers just chopping around this market, maybe longer term, but it is choppy on the daily. And then what we've done after taking out this previous low on this move down, we've taken out the highs, we've turned around and come back straight back down and take out that low again. So you can see how choppy it is. And this is people just getting cleaned up either side, more rangy than anything else. So just looking here, we're looking a bit overextended to the upside, in that overbought zone. We're only up at these highs, the previous highs. So for me, that would signal that we could just wash it out, do what we did here, and then come down and wash out some of these high lows. So to me, I still am expecting a bit of chop on the daily, but the weekly is the one that's got me. I don't mind that. Um, I think the weekly's looking good, but it's just whether you can hold it if you're going to buy it, whether you can hold it longer term for that weekly move that's potentially could be setting up. Not saying it is, but you can see we've got a clear sort of support zone around that 4, even a bit below, even a small base down to that sort of 380, 390 zone. And then you've got this clear resistance. So it's just been oscillating between the highs and lows here. Washed out here, pop back up to the highs, come back down, retest. You've got a higher low here, a higher low here. So really that's not looking too bad as it's compressing into those highs. Given that the daily's overbought, it could spike through and then come down and wash it all out. You don't know what's going to happen. But what I'd like to see up at that resistance, before I be getting into this, I think the weekly chart's supportive of, it could be a really good move up longer term, but I think it's got some work to do. I would like to see it break up through, maybe contract a bit, and then hold your higher lows. And I think that's what's going to get everyone a bit more excited. Once you clear out that 480 to 5 zone, maybe you have to pull back and we build our longer term higher low and then start to go. That's where I think you'd start to see it attacking 580 into new highs. But I think that was a good little chart. Just looking at the daily looks a bit of rubbish, but the weekly looks good. So longer term, okay, this could be pretty good. Have some legs to it. Don't get me wrong, this thing could just roll over from here. At the same token, you've got this 480 level, you've got clear support. It could easily just roll over and bang, completely wrong. Does that make sense? We're just pushing up towards these highs. We start to hold the high, even if we wash it out, and then boom, we can get that lower high and head south out of this, contraction up, just head south again, have another leg down. Then that way you've got 1, 2, you've got to move down to potentially 280 thereabouts. Does that make sense, guys? So it's just one. This is where, it's always important, not just in this market, but it's always important to know what your setups are, and know what you want to see, and your setups should be based around seeing strength. I think it's that simple. If you see your setup that you like that suits you, and if it's based around some sort of strength, you're seeing strength in buying or strength in selling, whether you're going long or short. But if you get your setup, um, that's what you want to be trading off, not trading off this going, getting a bit excited, go, oh, this looks like a buy. Look, rather than wait for the setup, it actually could be quite good. I've read something good about it, blah, blah, blah. Let's just buy it early. Then you buy it and it becomes a sell. It turns around and rolls over. If you don't get out, you could be holding it, sitting around 280, holding it forever, a year or two before this could come back, because that's a deeper correction. It takes more time to, band-aid it, to fix, before you start building a positive market. So that's why I think setups, it's really important. So we're getting potentially a step or two away here from a setup. If we're right, if it does pop up through 480, um, so it spent a lot of time building, holding, even cleaning out that washout through here, and then starting to hold some high lows. So I don't mind it, but I think it's got some work to do. I mean, it's got some work to do for sure, for me anyway. Pop up, then build the higher low, and then I know, okay, it's got through 480, it's pulling back, building a higher low. I know that the strength in buying's there, there's no strength in selling. The buyers are starting to take control, up we go. And that's what I'm looking for, rather than try to preempt anything. And that's where it does get hard if it goes on without you and you spend all this time watching it and it doesn't set up, bang. It goes from here, could go straight up through 485, right up through $6. I'm left on the sidelines after spending so much time waiting for it. That's just trading, and this is all about risk management. Not being right or wrong, it's about risk. I'm happy to be right and be out if I miss it, but I don't want to be wrong and be in. Where are we? So that was the other one. And there's probably one other. I can't remember what it was about this one. This is ARL resources. What are they resource? What are they resource, if that makes sense? Chris Shell is doing intense exploration program. So it's Explorer Gold. All right. That's probably looking okay. But even today, probably saying that when it's a Gold Explorer, gold's up $20. Where am I? That's what I'm looking for. This, it's just this overall structure is quite, look, I don't mind it. I don't like to say I'm right or wrong, but it's looking okay. but for me, it's a tough one. I'm not as aggressive as some. I'm more conservative with my trading style. I do think you can see it's just holding. So when it got ahead of itself here, you had to clean out a few. You've got that one reaction, that reaction lower. So you got your two moves, and we started holding a higher low here, breaking out here. Probably a good little trade through $1.45. I've only just saw this recently. But even if you bought it through there, it could have, if you bought it here prior to it getting out of this overall longer term contraction, it could have easily rolled over from here and come straight back down, potentially squeezed you out, built a lower high, then gone down. You never know what's going to happen. Okay. The fact that I like it is it's popped out. It's just that it's actually quite high up towards that 170. And that was a good move up. It's taken a lot of energy from oversold to overbought to squeeze up. Um, it is holding up there, but I would just like to see off that a bit more. Oh, let's take that one away. Just a bit more contraction and then potentially a higher low. And then I think it's going to go. I wouldn't like to see it just go pop from here straight through the high at 172 or so. And then you've got levels up at 195 and then right up to 220 and so on. I would like to see a bit more contraction here, although, gold's gone pretty hard. If it does pull back, this may just roll over, but it's having a good day, up 5%, but it's just, I think it's borderline. I don't, so this is what's got me looking at it. It's just this move up, the strong leg up. It's doing overall structure. It's broken out of contraction to the upside. I would just like to see a bit more work, like that minor high low. I mean, if this pops up through $1.72 or so and goes on with it, okay, I'm probably going to miss it. More than likely, I'm going to miss it. But I've still got to decide that. Got to decide whether I'm happy to try to jump in and buy it on a break up through that $1.72 or whatever the highs were. Let's just look at that. Let's just thicken that up. What was it? Higher through 72 and put my risk just below 160, below these lows. Or because it is stretched on the daily too, it's the weekly's actually heading the right. Stochastic's going from oversold to overbought. Probably got a bit more in it. It could easily just power on, get through that, and go boom straight up to the highs at 220, and even go straight through it, because the overall supporting structure is in place, and that's what you want. If this structure wasn't in place, this setup's not as strong for me, but it's still, that's in place, like we just showed you on this type of structure, up and out of contraction. That's everything I like to see. It's just, yeah, I'll just look at that in a sec, Helen. Yeah, that overall structure's in place. It's just this last, after coming off the lows from $1.20 straight up to $1.70, that's a good little move. So you might get the people who bought it up there start to edge out of it, and we might get, I just want to see that, try to go down, but the buyer's supporting it. And if you've got more evidence of buying support it, I think this move is going to go straight through that 172. But at the moment, if it just pops up through there, then it could roll over, clean out the high, wash it out, and have a deeper correction, then set up. I wouldn't want to get caught in that, getting cleaned up, especially when it's getting overextended on the daily. But I thought I'd pop that up again. I think it's worth talking about. What was the other one? So let's get into it now. XJ, what do we got? RHS, is that a stock, Helen? Probably is. What do we got first? First is MLB. Is that Mel by T? Yep. That, there, look at that one. Who put that up? Lauren. You see contraction. It's not bad at all. That's had a big clean out. That big green, like that green candle, so that big candle, that washout lower from here, maybe on news, I'm guessing, cleaned them out, but it's bounced back up and it's holding up near this level. So yeah, I think the weekly's, that weekly's heading high. You can see that. It's held the key level. The key level of support really is around that 270. It's come down and traded, touched on that, and bounced straight back up, all within that week, a few days. Held the last few weeks. It tried to go down with a couple of red candle weeks, but then it's starting to look like it's lifting on the weekly anyway. So it's still, the trend is up on the weekly. You can see that it's holding, nothing's broken. Your anchor level of this trend up for me is down sort of around that 270, has retested that. So we could find that if it holds that after that big clean out lower, when we push down to 270, if it holds it in here, we start to lift again. It's all about, for me, a high low popping up, say potentially through 345, pushing up to 350, maybe 355, pulling back, build a high low, and I'd be happy to have a look at it from there. But it is, And you can just see that it's coming out of contraction. It's probably on the right side of what we want to see. Let's just have a quick look. Yeah, so you can see that. Would be looking for potential. I mean, it could just go here, it could go down. You don't know. So that's why this sort of action, after it's been quite a few days doing nothing, but there could be something on the cards. I don't know. But you'd want to see it push up, pull back. Again, that squeeze, high, low, and then you've got your entry set up. Off we go. That's the way I'd play it anyway. That's with my setups. Sorry, Alan. Just teasing. Good fun. EIEL. Yeah, it's a bit of a tough one to trade. It's only got 123,000. This is IEL. Okay, the trend's up. It's had a good power move up over that week from 6 to, what was it, 775. It's holding up into those highs on the weekly. I just think what you're looking to potentially contend with in here is that sort of double top and potentially that right shoulder, a lower high. Yeah, I don't want to say about this one. It's actually, the weekly's up, the daily's up, it's still holding trend and everything. It pops up through that 760. Yeah, it could be a buy. It's just got to remember that it's been just grinding higher over the long term. So, say 2016, been grinding higher over the long term. So, question yourself how much more is in it before a deeper correction, potentially pulling back to 640. Just this longer term trend up. This is a weekly. No, look, if you let's just do it. Let's just draw what I'm talking about. The weekly's getting overcooked on the upside too, so I would look at this thinking there's better things to trade. And if you bought it up here on a breakthrough here, say it just broke up through there, only got as high as 75, it's only a few cents, or you bought it around here, or on an inside level from the daily charts, and then your weekly's potentially running out of steam, you've got to question yourself, am I going to get chopped in and then squeezed back out of the market with potentially a pop up and then a deep correction? Well, that's not very good. Let's just draw. I mean, a pop up here, maybe wash out the highs and then a deeper correction to come all the way back to this, this uptrend, or find some support around 650, and that way if you're trading the chart, not just buying it longer term, potentially you get squeezed back out and you take a loss and you have to look at it again. I think looking at this, for me, I see better setups elsewhere. Not saying it's not going up, not saying it can't be profitable. I just wonder how much is left in that move on the upside. And if I question that, I mean, for me personally, if I have to question that, if I look at that and go, oh, how much is left on the upside, I'd rather go somewhere else. Take my bat and ball and go play somewhere else. Does that make sense? Yeah, we covered STO, didn't we? Yep, covered STO. EVN going up. That's your daily. It's getting a bit overcooked on the upside there, which could be, look, it's just gone through that high. In fact, it's gone through the high at 304. What are we now? 313. That's a controlled chart. This type of squeezing up through the highs. It could start to go vertical. And if that's the case, I think I'll be happy to step aside on this one. Definitely going up. If you've got it, good. Just potentially look to tighten your risk, because if this starts to go near vertical, those sorts of moves are going to come down pretty hard. Well, not always, but that's the higher probability trade. So if we're starting to hold higher lows, the higher lows are getting a bit higher. The moves through the previous higher highs are getting stronger. So this thing, if it kicks on with it quite hard, then it's worth even taking some profit off the table or tightening up your risk. So again, you just got to sit down and question yourself, how much left is in this trade? So if you can answer not much, then tighten up or take some profits or anything like that. But either way, that's heading higher. And longer term, I mean, look at that. We're going to come up with potentially that could be a target right up to the highs at 250 thereabouts. So was it 250? 350. What am I talking about? 350. Up towards 350. So I could easily spike up there and then just have to see how it goes. But each chart is looking a bit stretched. EVN, right? SCC, nice. Cobalt, small, but John, it's looking quite good, John. But someone's desperate. All right, let's just get that. So what we got is some highs through here. Is that all right? Oh, it's actually up towards the 150 mark. Let's take that back. So it is actually here. I'm missing that left-hand side where it opened. So it's a double top up here, which again is going to lead you if you bought it on the IPO or whatever, and you're sitting on some healthy gains. So when you see that double top, that move down, then you, especially when you get your lower high, you could just start to lock in some. And that's why you've got that move down. So that's washed out that low. So it's done a lot of work to clean people out all the way back down to 90. But then what we're seeing here is potentially some signs of contraction. But it's sort of weighted to the upside. So this could, I mean, it could easily just hold high lows and then grind through, like this type of move, up, 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 and so on, which could easily happen. Or it could go down, make a double bottom. So it's just the way that it's grinding up that I don't like as much. And we could potentially just be reacting off that 112 where we could just push down, retest. Don't forget it's overcooked on the upside too. So all these factors, I wouldn't be confident buying it if it, with a breakup through 112, even especially 115 or these highs. I wouldn't be confident buying it. I know where my risk is going to be. So then, I mean, you're not going to risk a lot if you do. If you're looking to, if this is as an entry, not an exit, um, not a partial exit, whether you hold it in here or you hold it here or you're looking, what are you looking at? If I was going to buy it through here, I wouldn't be so confident because the way this is heavy selling, cleaned out a lot of people, and then it's just been grinding higher. It's not really, it doesn't look like a strong market, is what I'm trying to say. And every time it gets overbought, it's it's taken out the previous highs, not by much at all, say that amount, but then it sells off deeper. Good pullback, struggling to get up to these highs again. Before it had the pullback, trying to go again, and we got a red candle today. It's just at this 112. So I'm sort of leaning towards clearing out a few. We could have a pullback, clearing out a few of these buys. I'll just draw it up. So I just want to draw this up here. So if we've got 1, 2, pullback, and that's our high at the moment. And we're getting up here before we had to pull back, built a high low, and we've got up there again, and we're just potentially reacting off it. I'm sort of leaning towards a bit of a sell-off here, but potentially not to get that low at 90, and then if it can start to reset itself up and build a major higher low, that could be a good little reaction. And then what you'll get, I think, is those secondary level of buyers that like that structure and willing to get in around that 95. Might think, oh look, it's just bounced off that 90 zone. It hasn't not showing too much strength. I know it's going up, but it's not showing strength in the move up. It may have to roll over, retest 90, even pull back that double bottom, and then start, if it comes down like that, and then start holding a higher low, then off we go. Good. And then you probably think that move there would lead to a push straight up through 115 up towards the highs of 150. Great. But buying it just here, I'd be a bit tentative. I hope that makes sense there, John. If it doesn't, sorry. Let's get elders. Notice what I think we'll finish it. We've got one more, then I'll finish up with some oil and where we're at here. Sorry, I hope me drinking my coffee's not coming over too clear over the stream. Oh, we're having a good day with the old uploading speed. That's nice. No dropouts. There's no one's dropped out, have they? At the moment, it's been quite clean today. That's good. Elders. I think, look, it's got a lot of work to do. I would suggest before, it's not this type of price action, and it's after it gone near vertical. I mean, it could be just looking at that weekly, it could be in a zone where it's retracing about 50% of this last move up from what, 425 up to 90. Sorry, $9. It's pulled back. You could be at that zone where people are happy to step in, 50% retracement. It's oversold on the weekly too. So that is the weekly. Yep, oversold on that weekly. It's at a good zone. But are we going to pop up, build a lower high, and have a deeper correction? We don't know yet. But even if we do, and you're trading off the daily chart, and say you're buying it through 7, it goes to 8, builds a lower high. Okay, you've got a buck up your sleeve. You've still got some profit. It's just the daily action is not leading me to. I don't like it too much in the daily, and I don't like the only other thing. If you go back to the weekly, the time it was good. Didn't take much time to go bang from 5 to 9, thereabouts, and didn't take much time to pull back either. I think it's got a bit of work to do. Maybe it's going to be a bit choppier, and you can see these gas are kind of weird, to be honest. Up, down, up, down, up, down. So there's still some selling coming in. Every time it gets 50%, sell back down again. So it popped up through 7, just come off 7 now. So it might just be that somebody's still getting out a bit of, or they're just chopping it around. It's just got some work to do because it's not holding a higher low yet. I know it's just taken out. Get that. So you've had this move down pretty much unabated, and then we got a reaction up. Push down, took out that low, a reaction up, took out the low again down to here. It's just popped up through this high. Doesn't mean too much because it's not really coming off a base. It still looks to me like it could head down, or it could just go sideways and consolidate around here. And if you get that type of price action, you want to see it more holding a higher low and start to build. You could still get pullbacks, good pullbacks or contraction, but you want to see it start to hold those higher lows and just take out a few of those lower highs. So it's only really taken out the previous one, but it's still got, up towards around 710, 15. You could hold it down. It could just head straight down from here. We don't know. So I think I want to see it do a bit more work, but just remembering that it could potentially, where it is at the moment, it's that 50% move of this 50% retracement of that move up. So it is in a good little zone, potentially on the weekly. We just have to keep an eye on it. I think it's got some more work to do before I would look to be buying it back up again. And that's, for that reason that it's had a good move up without, you see there's no pullback there, a couple of red candles, but all within the previous day or nearly within the previous day. Nothing significant like a pullback like that. And then it's gone up. It's just gone boom up to here and it's straight down. So this is the first time we got reaction or some sort of price action that we can start building something off. What was next? ELD, CLV. What's that? Clover Corporation. So it's a smallie. If you're in this, legend. If you're not, it would be hard to buy up here, in all honesty. Since you're short on LA. Sorry, Zing, I didn't even read the short part. I was just looking at the code. But yeah, I wouldn't short it or go long at the moment. I'd just be sort of keeping an eye on it. Wouldn't short it off that sort of correction, especially where the weekly is, where the stochastics are well oversold. So there's the strength could be coming to the upside, but it has some work to do. Cobb. What is Cobb? Whoa, God, we did miss that. Just in here, if anyone's watching that, look at those. We've spoken about those 2 moves. I'll get that. There's no need to watch that. This is what Cobalt Blue, which I think we talked about. It's got that move, it's had that push up, pull back, that's cleaned out. It pushed up again and struggled near the high. So it's had the deeper correction. So you got 1, 2 moves down and started to pop up. And you can see all this price action through here. That's not bad. I mean, that's nice. And then you got that breakout to the upside. So if, what was the stock we were talking about before? Already forgotten. Oh, I don't remember now. What was it? Anyway, MLB, is it MLB? Yeah, MLB. So that is a lot like MLB. It's chopping around here, but so at that stage, if you were in there, I mean, if you took a chance and bought it, okay, fair enough, it paid off this time. But it could also just have rollen over, come all the way back down. News is not good, down to 20, do nothing for 2 years. And if you're holding it without stops in place, and then you've got to hold it for 2 years, you just wasted your time, wasted your money. So that's why, for me, entries are so important. If you did buy it just within that zone, okay, it did work out, great. If you knew something, if you're looking at the fundamentals and the fundamentals on your side, okay, it's worth a chance. But I don't like buying in those sorts of zones where it hasn't proven itself either way. But as soon as it popped out, that was exactly that trade, that setup we talked about. It's just, so it's chopped around in here, choppy, choppy, choppy. And then you've got that move up and through, that pullback, and then it's gone. And that's, your entry. You've got the higher low, somewhere mid-range of that consolidation mid-range, and then it's popped back up. So you've got your entry, you know where your risk is. And as it played out the next few days, you didn't have to worry after that. And it really kicked on nicely. So, what's that? That's probably 5 or 6 to 1 on that trade so far. Even after a couple of days, you got 2 to 1, up around $1. So that was a cracker. I mean, if you can just go through and you see things like that, just take note, even just cut and paste, put it in a file, and just put the setup. I mean, the setup is just there. That for me, anyway. Whether that suits you, if it doesn't, that's up to you. But that kind of move through there, that could be what's happening on MLB. Um, but yeah, it's worth just taking a note, cut and paste that, put in a file. Just as you have a file called setups or entries, and put some notes on it. Put some notes why it was good. One, okay, we had a big move up, a pullback. We tried to go again. We had to clear out some more buys just to start the build, and you can see it's starting to build through here. Okay, it looks like sellers are losing control, buyers are starting to step in, and you got the pop up, and then you got your entry. So you just take some notes. Why? What makes more tears? Exactly. Yeah, I kick myself too much nowadays. So what do we got? That was that one. Go back to SM1. Yeah, was that CLV? So CLV on the daily, yeah, I wouldn't go near it. I've missed the boat on that, and looks like it's news driven because it was heading south and then boom, gapped up, hasn't looked back. On the weekly, yeah, again it's in the blue skies, so yeah, that would have been a tough one to enter, to be honest. You've had to have entered it up there when it's gapped up, and then potentially you're risking that it's gap closed, coming back or pulling back, but it didn't. I know that's all hindsight, but for me, I wouldn't have touched that. But if you did, if you happen to buy it through here, I mean, if you bought it through here, you might have come under pressure with this little sell-off before it's gapped up. If you bought it somewhere in here, held your stop around that 60 mark, you managed to hold on to it. But that's the only entry I could see, unless you bought it earlier, way back here, back in November, December. This move up, you've just been watching it, keep an eye on it, following the fundamental, following the story. Then it's kicked on. That's nice. But as it stands right here, I wouldn't go near it. I wouldn't buy it. Not saying it's a bad thing, but this for me is not. There's no setup here at all. Got a lot of time before it builds a setup that I'd be happy with, and it's extended, so I'm expecting some reaction, lower profit taking, people booking some gains, whatever. But yeah, if you've got it, if you do have it, and you're looking for an exit, again, that's a hard one too. They're just as hard as picking an entry. The exit sometimes they can be harder because, especially when it's in clear skies, you don't know where to put your risk, and you don't want to give up some gains. I mean, I would have taken a partial by now, probably probably on the first day if I bought it in here. The next couple of days I would have taken a partial, but you'd probably, if you want to give it some room, you haven't taken a partial, it's worth putting the exit, say, below the candle, the previous daily candle. However you want to do it, and it's up to you. But either way, it looks quite good. If you're holding it, if you're not, missed the boat. SM1, yeah. SM1 pop still hanging in there. We'll hold up above 8. GTK, what's that? It looks good. So this is another one. This is like the other ARL that we mentioned, where it's, you've got these pullbacks, it's pushed up, had a deep correction. You sort of, maybe that's a trend. You've had a deep correction here without really that lower high, big pullback, and then it's kicked up quite hard. So if you're looking at it at this stage, you might go, okay, it's going to roll over. But if you spend the next few days watching, waiting for that rollover, and it doesn't happen, there's a good chance that that's a good sign of strength. So you've got sort of consolidation through here, and it's showing some good sign of strength, and it's holding the highs, which is dragging some buyers. And then as soon as it pops up to the upside, you could have taken an entry there with your risk just below, and then so far so good. It's just traded through the highs today. So look, that's looking quite clean at the moment. You know where your risk is going to be if you're trailing it up. You can just, whether you got longer term risk or shorter term, it's up to you. Longer term, probably right back down at 5, but you're risking a bit, about $1. Excuse me, $1 a share. Shorter term risk, you're probably just below this higher low in here. So your risk is probably around that breakout zone. It's probably going to be at entry at the moment. So just keep an eye on that because it's just heading into new highs. So it'd be good to see. Good to see if we can kick on with it. All right, so keep an eye on that, guys. GTK. So what else we got? That's probably about it. MOC. Well, that's mortgage choice. It's put its pants, isn't it? Right down in that support zone around that 165 zone. 165, that's doing okay. Sorry, not doing okay. That's just potentially got that reaction off there. But if you're gonna buy it today for the next couple of days, you're gonna be really on your toes. Yeah. All right. That would be for the brave. Oh, you're pretty brave, Helen. Braver than me, anyway. It could easily bounce. So what you'd be looking for here, even if you're looking, if you're a negative, if it reacts off here and builds a lower high, somewhere around 2, it could roll over big time and take out 165, take out the lows, and continue right down. Doesn't mean you can't get a buying opportunity if it does kick up to 210 or so thereabouts. You've got something up your sleeve. Just got to be careful. Lots of brave, Helen. All right, guys. We'll probably finish it up there. It's just gone an hour. That's probably about it. The market's down 32 at the moment. Nothing much has happened since we've been talking. Market's holding up on these lows, down 35. Just keep an eye on it. So see what happens tonight. See how the argy-bargy goes between US and China. See if it creates some more selling tonight in the US. Of course, that's going to drag us lower because we're in a bit of a negative mood, or whether we start reacting off those lows we mentioned before in the ASX. Was it the 5750 zone or 5700? See what happens. If it does get negative, we could hold up from here. If the US starts bouncing back, or some news comes out that they're starting to come towards an agreement, Trump's easing back on the tariffs, potential tariffs, or the pressure on China, then I think the market's going to react up, especially after all the selling that's happened. If not, well, we'll just have to take it as it comes. But anyway, we'll probably call it a day there, guys. Thanks very much for joining us. SCO. Oh, let's just quickly look at it. Sorry, I typically miss that. SCO. Longer term, it looks good. Look at that. It's got good price structure. This is SCO. Sorry, I forgot about that. And if you're looking at this, you just got to know obviously where your risk is, what you're looking for. Back to my blue. So you got essentially that sort of double bottom around 230. It's broken up through $3. So it's chopping around here. Built a little lower high here, but that's all within that range. And then we've got that move up, and then we've got that contraction right back into that range, down to about 280. And we're starting to lift from here. So if that's the case, we could be looking at a leg. That's your first leg up initially from the double bottom. potentially, what's that, from 230 up to about 350, $1.20, take it from 280, what's that, 3.4, which should take it up to 4 into new highs or up to these highs anyway. So there could be a move on the cards up to 4. But again, you just got to go to the daily. So I don't like that reaction on that weekly just there. If we click down to the daily just to see what's happening, that reaction there, I'd like to see it on the daily basis. I'd like to see, and good, look at the volume too, that volume on that candle there, some heavy selling. It's held up, but somebody's trying to sell it. So you come into that 340 zone. We reacted off there the last couple of days. For me to buy this, it's had that one move up, secondary move up, and then we're about here now. I would potentially like to see, I mean, it all comes down to this zone around here and at $3. It could easily contract into that zone. It's still holding that trend up and then start to hold a higher low. But I need it to do some work. And by doing all this type of price action, it's doing some work. It's not just going to go up, pull back, and boom, like up here, pull back, and then go straight up. I don't like that. For me, it's not too much strength. I mean, that's just going to run out of sooner or later, or could spike up through for, like this, get up through 45, and then boom, roll over. So I would like to see this type of price action where you're getting this, if I can draw it properly, this sort of curving base up. I think that's more sustainable for a good, healthy move up and take out the highs. But either way, that weekly trend is, it's still up. It's contracting into there. So it's sort of pushing into that 340 zone. But again, I would just like to see, it's just this type of move up here that I'm not a big fan of. And you got heavy volume, heavy selling coming in there. There's a few factors it's suggesting just to be cautious. And that's why I would like to see this too, because if that's selling, it's been matched off with some buying and you get this type of price action, buyers are happy to step in, then you see it lift. But if not, you don't get this type of price action and we start heading down from here, then I'd be concerned about it. So yeah, I think for me, if I was going to buy this, it's got some work to do before it's proven itself to me. Anyway, we'll definitely call it a day there now. All right, guys, thank you very much. Bobby, I'll get that out to you, Bobby. Just send me an email to support it. You can send it to support@tradesetup.com.au and I'll reply back to you with the link. It's called Discord. I thought you were on it. All right, thanks for joining me, guys. We're back in on Thursday at 12:30, and then it'll be Easter. So enjoy the next couple of days. Speak to you again then. Cheers. Bye.